Well, welcome everybody to the regularly scheduled board meeting of Irvine International Academy. Today is November 16th, Thursday, and in a moment we'll take a roll call for our meeting to call to order. And we'll go in the sequence in our agenda. It is 6:02 as we start. Beginning with myself, Doug Hewson, I am present. Brett Freeman, I believe, is not able to come today. Mary Beth, can you confirm that? Brett won't be dialing in remote, right? Very good. We do have a bit of an older agenda that has one of our former board members on there. I'm just going to skip that. Online, attending from number 165 Yingbing Avenue, room 701, area 1, building 9 in, and somebody's going to have to help me with that word. Is it Jinyu? Jinyu, district in Chengdu. And which province is that? Sichuan. Okay, there we go. As David said it, in China. Miller Zhuang, are you with us?
Yes, present.
Thank you. Got you set. And then to my right, David Sun. Present. And Felipe Delgado.
Present.
And Molly Cheng.
Present.
Wonderful. We have quorum then, and we'll proceed. I'm going to ask for a volunteer to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Our flag in the building is to the left. And those that are able to stand, would you face the flag? Would you do that, David?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. For board members, if you've had opportunity to review the agenda, let me know if there's any sequence changes, additions, or changes before approving the agenda and moving on with it. Any changes that anybody sees? Nope, looks pretty good. I'll ask for a motion then to adopt the agenda as it is.
I motion to adopt the agenda.
Oh, Molly was right on your heels, so I'll give her a second on that, and then we'll do our vote for the agenda, starting with Molly.
Yes.
And Doug Hewson is a yes. Davidson?
Yes.
And Felipe?
Yes.
And Miller? Give Miller a moment.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. Wonderful. Moving on to then Roman numeral 2, closed session. We have some contracts for review and approval. And so we'll go offline with the public for a moment. I'm anticipating no more than 10 minutes, and we'll be back joining the public after that time. So let's hit pause and let's make our way to our.
Hello?
Miller, you're part of it.
Yes.
We bring Miller along. Welcome back, everybody, to the Thursday, November 16th Irvine International Board meeting. We just exited closed session where we approved as a board 2 modifications, classroom aids, campus aid, and added a special ed aid. The vote for those contracts was unanimous. All were aye, and all of the hiring was within budget. And so that'll complete our closed session, and that's our report out. Instead of roll call, it's unanimous, so a little bit easier for everybody. Takes us to item Roman numeral 4. Any public comment on non-agenda items? Anyone sign up tonight?
No.
Okay, we'll move forward then to item 5, Roman numeral 5. Oh, our favorite part, executive director report. And Dr. Bean, thank you for all you do. And we're anxious just to hear a couple of updates as we make our way to the end of November.
That's kind of loud, sorry. Is it because I'm close?
It's okay.
Yeah, I'll walk away from the speaker.
Okay. You'll be right here.
I'll go here.
Okay.
All right, so I know we just met a few weeks ago, so not much has changed, but I'll give you some updates on certain things. Enrollment, we are at 370 still, which is nice. By the end of December, we project that strong projection to be at 377. However, I've asked Delano to adjust our budget for 370 enrollment. So our budget will be on 370 enrollment, which and then we'll share the revised budget next month. But by the end of December, we'll have 377. And why am I sure? Because we already have families that are committed to coming, but they're gonna come in a couple weeks. So, 377. Let's see, our teachers have finished, or tomorrow they're gonna finish their teacher parent conferences. They've gone very well. Teachers have offered both Zoom and in person. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from parents that they really appreciate that opportunity and time to meet with teachers. So that process has been very good. I've completed the principal side of my responsibility, I've completed all beginning of the year observations and formal evaluations of our teachers. So I continue meeting with them, of course, every 3 weeks. What else? Coming up, we have our staff holiday party. PTO is invited and coming. So hopefully Felipe can join us, and I'd like to invite our board members to join us as well. We're going to Macaroni Grill. The date on that, Mary Beth, do we have that date? December 1st. Here.
Friday night?
Friday night. That'll be our holiday staff appreciation party. That's coming up. Also, our winter performance is coming up December 14th. Hopefully you guys can participate in that. Come and watch that. It'll be really cool because not only will each class get to sing great Christmas music, but also we'll have some performances from pianists, and we're even going to try to get our orchestra up here to play a piece. So that'll be pretty cool. Let's see what else. Our school-wide spelling bee today was the in-class portion, and then the real spelling bee for our students comes on, I believe, last week of November. And so they'll be actually here, and the pressure will be on the kids. It's a very intense process when they go through a spelling bee in front of people. So we're pretty excited about that. When we come back from winter break, we'll have the big science fair science fair. So our kids will be doing science fair projects depending on certain grade. And then I think that's about it on Prop 39 application was approved by IUSD at the proposed rate that I had requested, or ADA that I requested. And I got a official letter from them. Now we spend the next couple months just negotiating the actual building, how many rooms we need and things like that. But that was approved, so we're good there. Like I told you last month, the church that we wanted to move the middle school, that fell through. So I think if we can get more classrooms here, potentially we can separate the middle school in these 4 classrooms over there and start building a middle school there. We will be submitting our countywide charter proposal in February to then be approved for April. All right, that is pretty much it.
That was a lot.
All right.
Did it so well.
Yeah.
We'll get some comments from board members, but I just want to say congratulations on it. An early point in the year getting Prop 39 agreed upon, now just fine details. That secures our future. For those that don't know what code language we're talking, it's the agreement between us and Irvine Unified School District to occupy these properties in the coming year, and that's fantastic. Just wonderful that you completed that. And sometimes it's just my comment. It would be nice to have a separate facility for middle schoolers, but there are a number of schools that operate like we do all the way up through middle school.
Yeah,
They're called academies, just like we are. And I like the idea if we can get some classrooms separated. This campus is large enough. It will feel like their own place. And, if we do find an offsite secondary site, great. But thank you for considering how to solve this problem in a number of ways, or this opportunity. Not really a problem. The problem's we're growing. The opportunity is we're growing.
Yeah.
Hear from some other board members. Boy, it was just so much here that's going on great at this point in the year. Comments from board members or questions for our executive director?
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of activities as we, draw to the end of the year. I have one question, not so much a comment. When we sign the lease, do we have a rights, for, have a lease, so-called a leasehold improvement? In other words, do we have the option to add something if?
Yeah, we do. So I work with our Young Mini core attorneys. And so if there's something that you would like to see us add to the agreement,
Right.
we can negotiate that in for sure. One thing that we're going to negotiate in is a door buzz system. So our parents can be buzzed in. They wouldn't allow us to do it this year because it wasn't on our facility use agreement. So we're going to negotiate that in. And but yeah, we can negotiate other things, absolutely.
Yeah. If a space needs to be expanded a little bit, because we have a lot of space here.
Yeah.
On campus, is it possible to add some temporary move?
Like a modular or something.
Modular, yeah. There's actually one modular outside, and I'll ask for that. But yes, just know that as we ask for more things, of course, the lease will be more expensive. So, yeah.
Okay.
You'll just add more square footage.
Exactly, that we have some mobile space.
Yeah.
And minimum cost.
So what we do, the next steps is we're gonna look at all of the enrollment projection. And then we're gonna look at how many classrooms we need, how many classes available in this physical location. And then we'll talk about alternative ways to meet the needs. So that's part of the whole negotiation process.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Only if you have something you want. You store up things for our executive director acknowledgements at the end too. But there's a good point to slice them in a little later. It's,
I would be amiss if I didn't bring up something.
Yeah.
I said, we're talking about the lease, we're gonna do something about those doors. I was recently in my parent teacher conference and a very common theme amongst the teachers, I won't have to tell you.
Yeah.
It's the doors.
I know.
That situation. We understand that even if we had some kind of door, that the walls are still paper thin, so it doesn't. But there's a couple other classrooms there. Even if we get just some of the problem ones, and I'm just gonna wave this way and kind of point down towards the math science.
Yeah, first of all, we're gonna move that next year, but yes, that's a terrible hallway for that class.
And I know, I know the situation with the doors itself, but
Yeah,
I think as I represent the teachers, I have to keep doing that.
I agree.
So
I agree.
or something.
We're gonna build in the lease, but we can do a temporary fix. I mean, we can try to get like a divider, right?
I think,
One of those rolling dividers.
even if we had to put a curtain between there,
Yeah.
those thick folding curtain kind of things, something like this. If we could get them to allow that, because I know that's part of the problem, they don't even allow us to.
Yeah.
We need to do something like that, would help, I'm sure, it's not gonna solve the problem, but the teachers are kind of struggling, so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that anything would be better. So, the other thing I had is, I know you mentioned the enrollment was 370 earlier in the year, what were we projecting?
We were projecting 377, and earlier in the year it was 373. So we did lose a few families because they moved, but that's typical. But we're still about 370.
Yeah, we're still. in good range, right? I don't consider 2 or 3 families friends. We're close enough.
Right.
Okay.
It's not like a mass, it's not like a
I thought
mass
so.
exodus,
I
yeah.
thought we were right in that sweet spot. Right?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Molly, when you hear the activity in the school at this season, what gets your attention and your excitement?
Well, I really miss being in the classroom.
Yeah.
But it's I guess this is a busy time of year, but teachers are also look forward to this because kids are happy. They're doing a lot of activity that they really enjoy. So thank you for your report. And I know the past, these couple months, the teachers are just the teachers parent conference and getting the Thanksgiving, getting the year-end musical, all those are a lot of hard work,
Yeah,
but it's worth it because the kids are so involved. And so I'm so happy, look forward to, I will come and listen.
so now that you're back, Molly, I have to ask you a question.
Yes.
So we started ELD groups. Would you like to teach an ELD group? During the week, let us know if you are, because we can put you in a 20-minute slot with the group. Each, one group a day if you'd like. So let us know. Okay.
Is it a yes?
You have a credential,
She
you
said
can
okay.
teach English
She said
learners,
okay.
so.
I think that's, yeah.
Yeah, by the way, with that, I want to say, I was out doing my regular watching recess, and today I was just noticing so many different ethnic groups. It's just amazing to see, our Ukrainians or Russians or African Americans or Chinese or white Caucasian students, and it truly is an international feeling, right? Because that's what we are, we're everybody international. So it's great that word of mouth has gotten out that you don't have to be a native Chinese speaker to go to this school. And so it's a great diversity here.
It's not a Chinese.
Right,
It's international.
international school, that's right.
I think that was a theme or an issue.
Right,
It's not.
so I'm really happy about that. But with that means we have a high population of English learners, right? And so we are pulling them out daily to give them that extra instruction. We'd love for you to come in. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I love that, because that actually came out of previous testing, and that was our, so
Yeah.
it all ties together. In our spelling bee, is it only within our school, or do some of the best compete beyond?
Yes, yes, our 6th and 7th graders, our top 6th and 7th graders will go to the county spelling bee. And then hopefully if they pass, they'll go to the national. That'd be amazing. Yeah. Oh, we have some really bright kids. I would not be surprised. So.
Miller, any thoughts as you listen in for Dr. Bean at this time? We'll have opportunity to get near the end of our meeting.
Well, I will not add anything because you all said well. I'm just looking forward to see you all maybe in December.
Yeah, hopefully.
That'd be wonderful.
Yes, enjoy.
Oh, great. Do we have fiscal update this
Yes.
meeting?
Definitely.
Yes, the
Oh,
one
okay.
that's here.
Delano, thank you for joining us along with North Compass. Welcome, and thank you for taking us through our financial update.
I think what would be helpful, Delano, is can the board members access the Zoom by their Chromebook so that they can see the PowerPoint? Or do you want them just to pull it up
I
from the
think,
book,
yeah,
the folder?
from the folder, and they have it in the folder.
Okay.
So we can see.
Oh, okay, great. All right, you're on, Delano.
Okay, perfect. Because I think everyone should be able to see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so good evening, everyone. Good to be with you guys again. So we're looking at financials here through September. So we're just almost through the first quarter, if you will, about another month to go here. Revenues for September, 367,917. And you can see here the makeup of that 367,283 for LCFF. And again, those are the three components of LCFF there.
Delano, excuse me.
Yes.
I don't think it's not showing.
What is it showing?
It's showing you swimming. A picture.
Oh,
of you swimming.
lovely. Oh, so
Yeah,
it's
you
showing
were
my
swimming.
screensaver. Nice.
Yes.
Mary Beth, I would never call that swimming. Trust
Okay.
me.
We thought you just meant things are going swimmingly.
Yeah. Is it still doing that?
Okay, you're on now.
There we
It's
go.
on.
I'm not even
Okay.
sure how that happened. Well, thank you for that. I guess I better start over and show you financials and not my back. Now we're looking at financials, yes?
Yes.
Perfect, all righty. Boy, Mary Beth, you got me nervous there. No federal revenues came in through through September. I'll digress for a second. Federal revenues takes a little bit longer just to get into the pipeline. You had some other state revenue of 61,000. A great deal of that was ELOP, the after school program and special education dollars. And then you had 23,000 in donations and interest or local contributions from various sources. And as I mentioned here, 578,000 year to date. So from July through September total, we received 578, roughly 4.4 million left remaining of our $5 million budget. If we look at revenues this year over last year, and again, I mentioned this last time that, you know, if we look at last year where you were trending in terms of LCFF revenues, you can see because this was based on the prior year P2 number. So that's why you see there 601,000 last year. And someone say, hey, why are we getting less this year? Well, now we're being paid on last year's P2 number, which was a less ADA, right? So you can see this one is from 2021, this is from 21-22. All right, and the same sort of theory applies here as well too. This year we're getting more state aid because of ELOP. That's reflected here, as you can see. And then here your local's about on par with where it was last year as well. This year we did get a small amount of NSLP dollars. Let's look at our September expenditures, 610,000. Salaries and benefits, roughly 50% of that number right off the top. And you can see here our supplies and ongoing curriculum costs, 165,000, 52,000 other operating costs. And most of this here in the other outgo related to our borrowing and things of that nature. You can see here roughly 45% of our costs are related to salaries and benefits, 20% here for books and supplies, 27% for operational costs. Year-to-date expenditures, we've expensed 1.45 million through September. As of 9/30, that's roughly about 30% of our projected revenues year-to-date. Books and supplies, 122,000 over budget. And again, as I mentioned, the early investment in the school year is a natural occurrence in terms of, you know, program costs, in terms of purchasing and things like that. So that usually happens during the early part of the year, not necessarily on the back end of the school year when those materials are really no longer needed or useful at that point in time.
Delano?
Yes.
Would this be a fair way of stating where we're at the end of September? When we look at the numbers, we're 1 quarter in, July, August, September, so we're 3 months in, but we've spent 1/3 of the expenses we will spend instead of 1/4, which would correspond to the months because the expenses are front loaded for curriculum. Is that a good way of thinking of it?
Yes, that's it. Yes. In the natural heartbeat or pulse of a school year, there are certain front-loaded expenditures or expenditures that will occur in the first 4 months of the year in terms of, to your point, Doug, curriculum, technology. A lot of that occurs in that September, August, July timeframe, even in October as well. And then as you get towards the back half of the year, to your point, yes, then those things are already in place. And then you'll sort of see the budget for those, you know, for that particular year sort of flatten itself out, right? So that's the ultimate goal here. We'll have our pulse check come next month when I do the interims, right? And then obviously that's when I can make my changes in terms of needing to adjust the budget if there is any excess or things like that. But yes, that is a great way to put it. Expenses, as I mentioned here, our budget calls for 4.8 million. As you can see here, we spent 1.45, have roughly about 3.4 million remaining. Want to look at some prior year comparisons here again. And this sort of tells the tale, right, in terms of investment in the program, right? So we have obviously an increased salaries here for staff, right? And along the same lines here, you can see here as well too. September last year, just 136,000. This year, 174,000. And again, most of these relate to the increases that were provided to staff. Same with benefits as well too. Year over year, these go hand in hand. Staff increases and benefits tend to sort of marry each other, so to speak. Books and supplies. You can see here, this number is 299. Yeah, that's correct. Services and other operating expenditures year to date, 238 last year, 389 this year. Other outgo was minimal last year, this year again, because of the borrowing more frequently, 115,000. So these are our year to date compared to last year through September. Our budget comparison here, as you can see, our actuals 448,000 for our LCFF sources. Our budget roughly about 11% of our estimated $4 million for LCFF, about 6% for our federal, about 17,000 has come in, 15% of our budgeted state revenues, another 17% of our local revenues as well. Overall, 11.5%, call it, in terms of our year-to-date revenues, 578. Our budget calls for 5 million through June of 24. Whoops. Salaries and other expenditures, our expenses here, as you can see, 18% of our certificated staff in terms of our expenditures through September, another 24% for certificated. Again, benefits about 18% of that number. Down here is where I mentioned that front loading or that increase. So we're about 51%, as I mentioned, of this number through September. And again, what we're looking for this is to taper off and then start to trickle and flatten out more in terms of not having as many expenditures for the remainder of the year in that category. Again, here, just the opposite. We'll tend to see this the services and operating expenditures sort of keep on that pace because month over month, most of those are pretty much more consistent, and even they ramp up as we go through the year in that way. A budget revision will be coming for this line item here, as I mentioned, because you look at our cost for borrowing from Charter Schools Capital. This is what we borrowed in terms of, excuse me, not borrowed, but these are the fees that they're charging for what we've borrowed. And I'll show you what we owe to Charter Schools Capital really quick on the balance sheet when we get to it. Subtracting our revenues from our expenses. And again, here you can see roughly 30% of our expenditures year to date versus only 11% of our revenues will definitely put us into a deficit here of 875,000. Take a look at the balance sheet this year versus last year. And again, this tells the tale here in terms of where we have cash, things like that. This year, you can see where we are in terms of cash being much lower than where we were this time last year for obvious reasons. And again, here you can see our total balance sheet, 184,000 difference in terms of our total net assets. More prepaid here, the same amount as last year at this time. And then obviously we do a little bit more from the government that's still on the books in terms of receivables. Liabilities, and this is where the rubber meets the road. And I want to point this out to you. So here's that number I was mentioning. So thus far, this is what we owe Charter Schools Capital through the end of September. We've paid some of this back looking now, right? 1.1 million in terms of what we borrowed to just sort of keep things moving in the right direction. As I mentioned, with only 11% of our revenues coming in, it's certainly very difficult from a cash flow perspective to meet our obligations without having this bridge. But this time last year, we hadn't gone back into that well with Charter Schools Capital because there was no need at that particular point in time. But as we circle forward from last year, September into the spring, that's when we really started to see that deflation in cash flow, right? We went through a lot of cash in the spring of last year. Loans payable, this is what's owed back to the state for the revolving loan. Last year we owed them 229, so we only owe 166,000 more. We have roughly about a year left for payments, a little about a year and a half left in terms of payment on this. Call it 2 years to be more specific. And then down here again, these are revenues that we've received the cash flow, but we have not booked any expenditures to them yet. We're in the process of doing that, and that you will see in more detail on the October financials when we present them next month. Sorry, this is slipping just a little here. Balance sheet wise, you can see where we are just through September. And again, here you can see that net loss that I mentioned over here of 875,000. If you look at where we were last year, right about the same place, just $100,000 give or take from where we were. Excuse me, whoops, that's the change. Sorry, here, $192,000 net loss last year. This year through this time, and again because we have more expenditures, right? And we're so that's going to definitely show here as well. But again, our goal is to have this as our net income of 282,000. I'm trying to get to that place here, 183,000. So this is our goal in terms of having positive at the end of the year, right? We want to make sure that we're positive by this number because that's the budget. Obviously, when we revise it, because Dr. Bean and I have been working on that revision, this number will change to some degree. But we're hoping that it's to the tune of a little bit more to add to the pot, because we want to make sure this year that we do not deficit spend by any stretch of the imagination. But just wanted to point that out. Days cash on hand, and again, last time if you check, we were about 29 days. Now we're down to about 10 days. And again, this is because as we got through September, our cash was very low. And again, it's going to be like this all the way through about February or March, until we get that, new ADA adjustment, right? And so this is kind of the limp along that we'll have for the remainder of this, at least for the next quarter and a half, in terms of our cash flow being low. We get a bridge to get us to the next round until we get those revenue true ups. Questions on the financials?
Thanks, Delano. I imagine maybe a couple. One for me is for the board with our mid-year budget adjustments that we'll make. What would be the timing for us to see what you and Dr. Bean have been working on, and when might we get that? And then when we have maybe a week or so to review that prior to the board meeting? Give me kind of timeline for everybody.
Yeah, so what I would like to do is I would like to send this like the first week in December, so you'll have at least some time to look at it before the board meeting. And obviously you guys can't meet and discuss it unless you're meeting separately or individually, or just providing feedback on that, because there isn't a standing finance committee. But I will definitely send it out and give you guys a chance to review and send feedback on it. The board meeting, when is the December board meeting scheduled? I think it's the 19th or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
19th.
The 19th. Okay, perfect. So I'll try to get this to you guys the first week in December, give you guys a chance to look it over before we make it final and bring it for approval at the December 19th.
Do you want to do it in a way where it's a shared document on a drive somewhere, and then we can just put comments on it?
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
Benefit of each other's comments?
No.
No. you don't
If the
want to.
comments are separate, yes, but not comments all on one document,
Okay.
because that's like a board meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to be careful of just not, not having a,
All
On
individual.
that, good tip. Thank you, Dr. Bean.
Yeah.
Other questions? I've got another one that's simple, but want everybody to get a chance to chime in.
Yeah, know you said that the cash position, cash on hand is, what, how many days?
about 10.
Days, so what's the plan?
We're getting funding tomorrow.
Okay.
So David, one of the things that tends to happen, so we're looking at the end of September, right? So usually our infusion will come, right at the beginning of the month. We'll get one, and then as we get towards the end of the month, we'll get another one again. So there's this pattern that we have in terms of making sure that we time it right around payroll for the 2 payrolls during the month, and that's when we'll also make sure we have our our accounts payable and things like that. So it lines up a little bit nicely. It's concerning a little bit, but not something that we can't handle in terms of just being so close to the edge sometimes.
It was 10 days at the end of September.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we just play this dance all the way through. So tomorrow we get our funding for the end of the month. So
Just comment, somehow you might hold the financials in December, September. November board meeting for the.
Oh, yeah, because the board meeting's November, but we'll always trail about a month and a half to close out. So,
Also, we'll talk about it, okay.
yeah, so we're only looking at a snapshot.
We're only looking at
back the end
September.
of September 30th.
Yeah. So it takes a while. So just to give you guys a heads up, so this is November 16th. So it takes usually by the time we get, so we have multiple sources of documents we have to get to close the month. There's a treasury statement that comes in about the 9th or 10th of the following month for the previous month, the bank statements and things like that. So they're documents that we get untimely, so to speak, because if in a perfect world, I like to have the month closed by like the first week in the following month, but we don't get the information we need in the
My company would like that too, but somebody they know is late on expenses. Oh, wait. Kidding, I'm always getting those. I've got another one. With our grant, Delano, the PCBSG, I sometimes get those letters backwards. Are we applying the purchases that we make and applying them to the grant contemporaneous? I see.
Yes.
Going north and south, so I'm glad.
Yes. Yeah, what I will do, and we're almost to the end of the grant cycle. And so what I will do is I won't promise you at the next board meeting because we'll have a lot to cover, but we're right up against finishing up the grant. And so I'll provide a report, and we provide quarterly reports, just so you guys know, to the CDE for this. But I want to give you guys a comprehensive review of what the grant has done for the school over the last couple of years. So, we're closing it out this year by February. So in the next 4 months, the grant will be all expensed. And so I'll provide a report to you guys then.
Other budget questions that we like that I think most of us agree, we like this summary format pretty well, knowing we can always dive in deeper if we need to, but it's flowing really well. It always looks better later in the year. It's always hard to sit here in the early months
It's hard to look at
because
this.
we're behind the 8 ball because we don't get our funding for our student count that's higher. And we lived on a previous year where, we were receiving money that we didn't earn. So
Yeah.
we're weathering through, and then February, March will feel really good.
Yeah,
Delano, I would say that pretty much what we're seeing here, we're gonna see next month.
pretty much. Yes.
Next month in the following.
So I'm gonna
month,
say
right?
the same.
So actually, we can almost skip next month, right? Just go right to, sometimes January, I could do a little better.
But we will give our attention to the revised pro forma and budget. So we'll see how it all plays out through the end of the year, which will be really pretty neat to see because the revenue we'll see that comes in and balances out.
The way I see it, we live another day.
Yep,
That's
that's
what I'm
it.
looking at here. We live
Yep.
Another day.
Well, the most important thing that I think you guys, and I and I know sometimes looking at the numbers and saying, man, I wish we had more, or wish it were a certain way. We look at this from the perspective of, you have a growing school, it's thriving in many ways. While you may not necessarily have all of the resources that you would like, over time that gets better. And trust me, you guys are in year 3, right? Imagine where you will be in 3 more years, right? In 2 more years for that matter, right? So this thing gets better over time. I promise you that. If that's one thing I know, it looks this way, but then if anyone were to record this conversation and revisit it 3 years from now and go, remember when 3 years ago we were, not looking so positive, and look at us now, right? And I will promise you that. I will stake my name on it, that will be the thing.
I would add my 2 cents here, these are the numbers, when I go through the school, there's one time here, and I'm always watching. And what we got as far as the school itself, the equity, these numbers don't reflect that, okay? The school is like. So we're just looking at these numbers here, but what we got equity wise, I think we're on the right path, so.
Yeah, you can call it hard share or true value, all of that. It's a high value school, and
You guys have an amazing school.
The true value is the future, the
Yeah.
bright future.
Exactly, David. Exactly.
There will not be is that anomaly, whatever. There will not be that from year 1 to 2 drop that we saw, right? Our enrollment should continue being at least stable throughout the next several years. So like Delano said, everything just catches up and boom, all of a sudden, in 1 or 2 years, we're in a better situation.
next year we'll be rewarded in September for the fine performance and attendance that
That this
finished
year,
with this year.
right,
And,
right.
That was not the case this year. We had to pay back, so.
But that was a huge hit going from 3 something to 192 last year.
Yeah.
Huge hit.
The two-year growth is really neat.
Yeah.
Very nice.
But if you guys know any friends that can write a loan check and loan us some money or,
Oh, I like the
you know,
word gift.
5%.
Gift.
Well, gift would be great, but I would take a loan.
Nonprofit.
I would take a loan so we don't have to go through charter schools growth, honestly.
I'm not shy about asking them. That's good. Delano, let me see if there's anyone else, with questions, anybody else? Well, we're grateful, then again, for the fiscal report each month. Thank you, Delano. We're then going to move on to our consent agenda. It's just one item. It'll be the approval of the board meeting minutes from the prior meeting in October 24th. On Roman numeral 6, can I ask for a motion to approve the previous board minutes? I'll make that motion then and ask for a second. David second, going left to right, Molly,
Yes.
and Doug is the approval, yes, and David,
Yes.
and Felipe,
Yeah.
and online with Miller.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Wonderful. That brings us to discussion and action items, Roman numeral 7. There is a corresponding document in our packet. I'll pause just to check with Mary Beth and see if there's any public comments on the action item. Here's how it's written. The board will consider and approve the declaration of need for fully qualified educators per Title V California Code of Regulations, Section 80026. For public's sake, either Kismet or Dr. Bean, either of you want to share what this document is and why we approve it each time? Because there's a specific reason and need for us.
Yeah, as we discussed in a closed session, very difficult to find fully qualified bilingual teachers, especially for Mandarin. And so the state allows us then to get the board to approve a declaration of need so that we get some time to help support a full or a credentialed teacher to get their bilingual authorization. So I know that Molly understands this, that teachers, when they go through a credential program, they get a CLAD. But if you're bilingual, you get a B-CLAD, bilingual authorization. And because that's very difficult to find, the state allows us to go ahead then and hire a fully credentialed teacher so that they can get their bilingual authorization. As you see on page 2, our estimated need is
7 because that includes last year and this year. This year, we don't have as many teachers without a B clad. And by the way, the only teachers that need that B clad bilingual are the Mandarin teachers. The English teachers are fully qualified. So we estimated between last year and this year, the need is 7. And then the reason why we bring it up to the board is for you to authorize and approve that. So then Kismet does her job and she submits it to the state of California. You want to add anything to that?
And this document is also included with their credential application for their B-clad as well. And it's an annual certification that the board has to approve each year.
Wonderful, thank you. We did have the opportunity to get a little bit familiar with it, but I'll invite any board comments or questions prior to asking for a motion for approval. Wonderful, I'm used to this every year. I'm asking for a motion to approve item A, the declaration of need for fully qualified educators. Molly moves. I'll second, and we'll do roll call vote, beginning with Molly.
Yes.
And Doug says yes, and David?
Yes.
And Felipe?
Yes.
And Miller?
Yes.
Thank you. Wonderful. In our closing items, we'll do a round robin for board comments or recommendations or gratitude for our staff. And just so everybody knows, we put within the notes, our next meeting will be December 19th. Is that a Tuesday?
Yes.
That sounds familiar to me. So it'll be a regular Tuesday type of meeting too. I might forecast if the board members want to come a little early, chairman will treat to some kind of a meal. And now I don't want to overstate it, but it'll be something you like, and I'll survey Mary Beth on what it is, and we'll have it waiting for you a half hour early. So
it's Chinese.
There you go. Order
Chinese
Chinese.
food for sure. And,
Yeah, excellent.
I'll trust her on what she picks, but everybody's invited, and hopefully Miller will be here in person. Round robin, Miller, I'm going to start with you online. Thank you for attending. We know you're traveling out of the country, and it's just appreciated how involved you are with our school. Any comments or recommendations for our executive director?
Yeah, well, first, I wish just physically that with you all. Second is really, looking at the school's development that, we are not just on top of the state. I think our school is on top of the world because I'm going to attend to the nationwide education meetings. So all the leaders that I share with, they just chill about our development. So I thank Dr. Bean, and then thank you all that, for a outstanding job. So I just continue your work, and I wish we can provide more bilingual teachers from this side of the world to our school.
Well, thank you.
That's all I say. Yeah.
We're looking forward to seeing you in person again, and I know.
I wish for the Chinese food by the chairman.
That's what I'll do to get you to be here.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like to be next. Molly.
Yeah.
I am just thrilled, with this report and hear all the reporting about all the good things that are going on at school, and no problem. And I'm just, I would like to thank the teachers when I come to the staff meeting, the staff appreciation, because I know it's not easy and we're busy, but from what I heard, everything is steady moving forward. Thank you, Dr. Lee, and all the staffs in the school as well. So I look forward to the end of the year.
That's good. Thank you. Who else like to share some comments?
Is it my turn? I got just real short for
A short list.
I know.
Short
No, it's
list.
really short, because I think I can stand up here. So I can show you, I can make this quick. So as you know, I spend a lot of time here, especially during the lunchtime,
And I took a few pictures of our students right here. And real quick, I'm gonna show you this girl. I have no idea what her name is.
Show those to the camera there too.
Oh, can you see? I don't know if you can see that, but I'll send it to you. So real quick, see this little girl? She's reading a book during her lunchtime that she checked out from our library.
From our library. It's
Yeah,
operating.
that's what she's got there. So I noticed her because it was one of our books from the library. So, and then there's this other young man who, I'll just tell you right now, he always eats at least 2 or 3 of those lunches.
Wow.
Right?
He's an athlete.
I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea who this kid is,
That's why.
but he's always. So that just tells you that, you know, they eat delicious. You know, I think there's a variety of students here. Some like delicious, some don't like delicious. But then there's. So it's always a pleasure to be here. During that environment.
That's cool.
That's all I have.
Yeah, just a few comments. You know, I noticed the report and the agenda has been, you know, pretty smooth. There's no public comment. That's actually it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good sign. Means the things are going well. You know, a lot of people competing to have comments. There's something going on.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad we are on the right course. Cruising. That's great. That's encouraging.
Certainly a big difference from the first.
And second year. At that time, you know, people compete to have comments. Anyway, and I also noticed Delano's financial report become more and more kind of structured and professional. It's also encouraging. And one suggestion I would have is to something maybe to share some of the key points early, you know, with board members, so we have a chance to go over. So nobody's going to delve into all the nitty-gritty details, all the numbers. Okay, and that's necessary, but you know, some of the key points will be meaningful. So we just focus on the key aspects. That'll be good.
Almost, I think what I'm hearing is maybe a narrative with a couple sentences saying, here's an important part of the revenue scheme. In the expense area, key in on this, cash position here. That's great. Yeah, because Delano, we'd be more than open to seeing that ahead of time, and then we can then do a little bit. That's a great idea.
And also on Dr. Bean's executive summary, you know, sometimes you can, you know, just share some of the bullet points with the board members of the grade.
So what? I missed that.
You know, some of the on your iPhone, I'm sure you have some notes.
Yes, I do.
Okay, some, you know, bullet points.
Oh, share with you.
Maybe,
Got it.
8 or 10.
Is that so we know who's not
Right.
making it up? This is going on.
That is-
Is that-
that is- Behind each line, if it's a applause line where we're supposed to clap.
There you go.
Right, so we know, because I wanted to clap about 5 times, but I think it'd be inappropriate.
That's funny. I like that.
So much to celebrate. No, I like that. Very nice.
That's funny.
All right.
That's
Yeah,
good.
in general, you know, I feel more and more comfortable about, you know, what's going on.
Good.
Okay, earlier, you know, I mentioned that if we have some important or key hires, just make sure you can share some background. with the board members.
Yeah, public resume, that's already known. We would cherish those. And again, it keeps us emotionally connected to the individuals who are part of school. Well, I'll echo just the same things I've heard from the professional nature of our human resource department now with Kismet White. Thank you for investing in the school as
Yes.
a professional with all your experience. Mary Beth Chen running the front office and so much more. It'd be remiss if I didn't say, you know, that wonderful face at the front, Sai.
Sai.
And the joy that she brings in that, parents coming in and students going out, grateful for that. And then Dr. Bean again, thinking back on the early days where you had to make some big choices of whether you invest in a school that needed quite a bit of attention. You brought the teamwork, the joy in work, but the challenge, the appropriate amount of challenge of both the students and the teachers And we're seeing the fruit of it. And when Felipe says when he walks through the halls, it's a good vibe. Those are two short words, but I know all that it encompasses, and it's very hard to get that. And we've got it. That's that equity that we have in Hartshire. So we applaud you and all that this team is doing.
You know, I would springboard off that.
Yeah, please
just a little
do.
bit. That, you know, I had my parent conference today for Raymond with who's been
Chris,
yeah, and Mr. Gibson.
Gibbons.
And Gibbons. And I was, man, say it last name.
Wong,
It's
yeah.
Wong. I get them all wrong. That tells you how much.
It's okay.
It's all right, you got it.
But I know who they are, right? But I think about other parents when they come and they see the quality of professionalism, the teamwork, the way they're working together as a team. You know, I don't know how they can complain about that. And, you know, I see that with Raymond and Rachel's class, you know, it's the same thing with their kids. You know, so that's the face that the parents see. And I think that's a big reason why we don't have. It is.
It's a great observation.
You know, I noticed that today.
Culture is self-reinforcing, and it's a good
Yeah,
one. Lastly, I would just say thank you publicly to all the parents who participate in PTO and the PTO leadership.
Yes.
This teacher appreciation dinner, it's on a same night I have a conflicting event. If there's any opportunity to say something to the teachers, I will send with Dr. Bean a short message from myself as board member. Of course, if you're there, you'll get to praise them in person, but I can't be in two places at once. I've tried and I've never mastered it. And the other is one I cannot miss because I get paid to be there. But I will send some comments, and if there's opportunity to share it, I'll just provide those to you. If there's not, it's okay. I do want to acknowledge I'm grateful for a PTO event like that for teachers. And I know the teachers are the secret sauce in a school environment. And so I'm
Yes.
grateful for them. I'll invite Miller then. Did we catch you yet, Miller?
Yeah, I think he started.
We had you first, so I'm going to ask them for a motion for adjournment from any board member. And David, motion.
Motion to admit.
Thank you. We got you in the
Second.
record as the second on that motion, and we'll start with you, Miller. Then you agree it's permissible to adjourn?
Yes.
Thank you. And to my left, Molly,
Yes.
and Doug is a yes, and David. Yeah. And Felipe.
Yes.
And so we're officially adjourned. Thank you, Mary Beth, for coordinating again. Thank you, everybody who watched live and those who will watch later. We're grateful.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks. Good night.
Good night. Bye, Bill.
Yeah,
Bye, Delana.
And dinner.
Good night. Good
Bye.
night. Good night.
Recommendation.
Good night, Mary Beth.
Bye, Miller. Good night.